Welcome back into the Mid-Norfolk garden, and this afternoon we're going to be planting some more hydrangeas into this area. We found they've grown really well here since they've been planted out, and we've got a variety of different varieties that flower at slightly different times, but we managed to buy another couple of these lovely rich reddy pink. It is a sort of pinky red colour. We've got a few of them planted in this area already, but we really want to try and thicken up this planting to get some more structure and height. This little pink lace leaf one really does give some nice contrast, having said that, and the original one that was planted out now about 3 or 4 years ago really does very well in this position, and it gives us a lovely view. That's our kitchen window where we sit looking out, and the reason we've not planted them this early is that we've been waiting for this valerian to finish flowering, and Kate's now just tidying that up. It's set a lot of seed. We've bought 2 new hydrangeas which we got soaking in the bucket there. We bought these a couple of weeks ago, and really we should have got them planted out straight away. They have dried a little bit and got a bit of leaf curl on them. So what's the problem with big pot grown plants, just keeping them well hydrated, and they weren't particularly cheap either. So we wanted to get some good holes in this area now, cutting back this valerian to see where we can get in. It's not an actual border this at all we're planting through. It's part of the old gravel courtyard, and as such there's quite a bit of hardcore and old brick and building material under here. So part of the decision is going to be, when I start putting a spade through this, what I hit, and I'm suspicious that the reason we haven't put one in here before might be just for that very reason, that the subsoil here is really not very favourable. Let's have a go, see what we find. Well, we've been cutting back the valerian now for about 5 minutes. You can see we're giving it a really hard hack back, and it will sprout again. We wouldn't normally do that because, as you see, valerian, if you just take some of the collapsed side shoots out, will continue to trickle flower, but this will all flower again later in the season. But what we've uncovered is pink, lovely light pink, large bloomed hydrangea that's been put in here sometime in the past, which we've completely forgotten about. But I've also realised why there isn't one in this position. There we have a drain cover concrete slab, I suspect just covering up one of the access ports from these old drains. So if we're going to put one in here, I'm going to have to do it just to the side here or further out towards the yard. We've got 2 young hydrangeas coming up that we've now uncovered. They're almost completely covered by the valerian growth, but they should now do a lot better, and if we feed and water those, they should this time next year be looking something like this. All the valerian shoots in the wheelbarrow, but they're not going to waste. These are going down into the dell, and all this seed will travel with them. Kate will just spread these around in the meadow, and a good proportion of it will give us a good crop of valerian down there next year. Just look at the roots on this.
These are baby valerian plants I just pulled up. I'm going to put into some pots and grow on.
Yeah, they'll transplant really easily. Probably give them a good haircut till they get established.
Do it now.
There we go. Young plants, as well as all that seed to go and be used in the other areas in the cottage garden. I'm going to try and put the spade in now and see what sort of holes I can dig. I've got to have a decent one. Just look at the size of that pot, at least an 8-inch, so no point trying to squeeze that into too tight a hole. Let's see what this subsoil is like now. Well, I've managed to get 2 holes through what is really uncomfortable digging, but they don't seem to mind it, do they? They've got really good drainage, but it's still moist down here with plenty of sort of quite heavy clay in between the bricks. Here's the other hole I've put just to the side of what is a large wooden half barrel, which is what we used to have these hydrangeas in. They really didn't like being dried, and they just like this extra moisture. Just look at what I've got in the base. I mean, you can see this is an old building site full of red brick, old mortar, all sorts. I'd normally make my planting holes much bigger than this, but it's back-breaking work. Just look what's coming out. So we're just gonna make the holes slightly larger than the pots. We need to be planting these at the same level that they're growing in this compost. Hydrangeas can be planted a little deep. They're easy to root from cuttings just by putting them in soil or into some water, so they don't mind having their stems a little deeper than they are in the pots. You certainly want to make sure that they are no higher than they've been growing in the pots. I'm happy with this. What we're going to do now is puddle these in completely. Planting technique that Kate learned a couple of years ago and really does help get plants established. Dig the hole, get the plant placed where it's going to grow, and then completely fill the hole with water and just let it work its way down and settle in. So there we are, got this one sitting nicely where it's going to grow in the hole. Oh, still got the pot on. I do need to take the pot off. Take two, just hold on. There we go, I've now lifted this one out of the pot. And same again, just going to fill that hole completely. So it's sitting in its own puddle, and then we're going to let all that water soak away. It'll take a full can, this one, I should think, because it's such gravelly.
Again, refill the watering can.
If it rocks around in the hole a little bit, don't panic. It will settle down as the water starts to seep away. But you can see this is a mixture of clay and a lot of gravel, bit of building rubble and everything down there. But I think this is why they like it here, because they're constantly moist at the root but do get a little bit of sun. You can see the damage that's occurred to this pot grown plant in the couple of weeks we've had it. It looked much better than this when we brought it home. It was a spontaneous buy from one of, not a garden centre, but a DIY warehouse. Didn't go looking for hydrangeas, but saw this, and Kate's got a real good eye for colour. She recognised that colour being a good match for what we already had, and we'd spoken about increasing these so that we've got a good run of them, and we're getting a nice long view now along here with some good colour. So we're going to let that soak away. It may take up to a half an hour or an hour in this soil, and then we're going to backfill and water again and top dress around with some clean gravel. Well, joys of living in a period house where you don't know where all the drains or what all the drains are. We were waiting for that puddle to soak away and suddenly heard a swoosh of water going down, and what's opened up underneath is an old soak away, I think. I've had a little poke around. It's not a big cavity. It's probably coming from this drain cover here, which just takes the water from this little lean-to toilet roof above me. We've checked the toilet and that's flushing properly and not emptying into this area, and this other big downpipe in the corner again is the downpipe for two loos in the main body of the house, both of which have been checked and they're not coming into this area. So solution, rather than a big exploration and dig job, is just to get some coarse rubble, put it on top of that, and then a tile across the top, and then we can probably continue to plant this hydrangea in this hole and not worry about this. It's probably been there for 150 years and will quite happily sit there for another 150, acting as a soak away. And it's probably why this area has always been very nice and moist as soon as we dig down into it, and that these beauties are doing so well. So nothing to worry about, although a little alarming when you hear the water suddenly whooshing away under your feet.
I'm a little worried.
You're a little worried.
I am.
You're always a little worried.
There's a drain there and there's a drain cover there.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean that runs
We
to anything.
probably shouldn't have dug a hole there, to be fair.
And that probably, something comes along here, I could hear it. So that is probably the drain cover for the loo just behind this wall.
Okay.
And nothing to do with that soak away.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure if we put a rod down, that cover would come into it. Okay? One of the benefits of living on a farm is you've usually got a pile of rubble sitting around somewhere, and I'm blessed with this one, so I'm going to have my pick of, I'll probably go for the old reds, to be honest with you. They'll soften, they'll gradually crumble, far better than a bit of concrete, so I'm going to pick out half a dozen bits out of this heap and go and fill my soak away with those. Back to the hydrangea, soak away filled with a little bit of rubble, and then backfilled. Plenty of room still for the hydrangea pot to go over it. It'll get its roots down into that soak away, and uncovering old wells and soak aways, all part of a day's gardening here at the old farmhouse. But that'll do very well. I'm sure we'll keep it watered for the rest of the season if we don't get the continuous rain we've had throughout the early part of the summer, and hopefully this time next year it'll be looking something like this. And the second one we've got in place just in front of this barrel, which is a temporary fixture and will probably move out the way. And I think it's looking very nice with the combination of those three colours and flower sizes and shapes really. I do like the little flowered one at the back, but this pink flared variety, I don't know what the actual name of it is, but it's an absolute stunner. Just gives that lovely contrast in this area, but hopefully we'll get a long vista view down here in years to come, looking through a whole little planting of these hydrangeas, which will give us this lovely colour in July and August. Thanks for watching.